This is the first time we are going out to try and catch fish this monsoon season, and little did we realise we would end up sheltering underneath a bridge due to a sudden storm. Had this been any other year, we would have started fishing around 1.5 months ago. However, the floodwaters arrived late this year, hence we haven't went out any earlier. We would not have caught anything had we tried before now, simply because no fish had arrived. The fish usually come straight away as soon as the floodwater reaches a certain level. Every other year, it only takes 15 days from the water arriving for the fishing season to begin. This year, very few people are out fishing. Most villagers who would have been out fishing now have went to work in towns and cities. Today, we are heading out around 5 kilometers away from our compound to try our luck fishing in a nearby village. From my uncle's fishing experience, he says with such low floodwaters, our best chance is this area we are heading to now. One thing that always fascinates me is the invisible map that these villagers have in their heads whilst travelling on the waters. Sometimes we will turn off the engine and push our way through if either the water is too low or there are too many plants underneath which will get caught in our propellers. The villagers who you will see have just passed us now tell us they have not had much luck today whilst out fishing. Realistically, we will only be looking for small fish in the shallow waters of the floodplains and wetlands. This may be advantageous for us now, whilst we are searching for fish. However, all the vegetation grown under and above the water is going to be a big problem for the villagers when the floodwaters recede in 3 months' time. This year, there is a lot more plants and vegetation in the water than usual. When the floodwaters rise any other year, these plants don't have the chance to grow so high. This is because any plants growing underneath cannot grow quick enough to reach the top of the fast-rising waters. In that instance, the plants will remain short on the waterbed. So you may question, how does this affect people once the waters go down? Well, the answer is all this vegetation will still remain on the floodplains, the same floodplains that the villagers will routinely plant their next annual rice harvest on. Rice is planted in the ground almost immediately after the floodwaters disappear. Therefore, if all the overgrown vegetation in the waters now remain later, then the planting of the rice will be delayed. The main struggle will be removing these plants quick enough in time for the harvest. However, this will come at a price. Most commonly, workers will be hired to remove the excess plants, workers which need paid. So ultimately, the overgrown plants in the water now will cost the villagers their time and money later on, taking into consideration how essential it is for the rice harvest to happen on time, as the final result from their crop will feed their families for the next 12 months. If you would like to see more about the rice harvest, I've put the link for my documentary I made on the annual rice harvest in the description below. The houses you are about to see were not here a year ago, as they were only built 7 months ago. Poor villagers will usually build homes around places like this when their family compounds have become too overcrowded. These hut owners' original family compounds will only be around a 5-minute walk away from here. None of these houses have electricity, so at night they will see by lantern light, otherwise they'd be in complete darkness. Those who are fortunate enough to afford it may have power from solar panels. These huts are around 3 or 4 feet above the water level, bearing in mind that the floodwaters are extremely low this year. In the event that the floodwaters rise higher than usual, and this has happened many times in the past, resulting in devastating effects, then these huts would have been flooded and be submerged in water, forcing them out their homes back to their original compounds. Should this happen, then the villagers will take 15 to 30 days fixing the damage once the waters go down. We are now nearing our designated location just past this bridge. Should we have any luck, our best chance of catching small fish is just up ahead. Only problem being, our luck is very bad today. Although we could see dark clouds ahead, little did we realise that we'd get caught in horrific conditions. Just as we arrive to our fishing spot, a huge gust of wind stirs up, growing faster and stronger out of nowhere. We know we would not be able to fish in these conditions, however, we were also confident that it would literally blow over within a few minutes. Yet, the wind kept growing more powerful, and any plans of sitting around until it passed over soon turned to concerns about the water, which was turning into small rapids which may have caused the boat to overturn, and we do not want this to happen. Now, raindrops begin to fall, and immediate thoughts are to get to shelter in case the rain gets too heavy, as it would also fill the boat. Where do we decide to take shelter? Underneath the bridge we just passed. So quickly but carefully, we move the boat to under the bridge to ride out this passing storm. As we waited at this temporary spot for shelter, it seemed like a good idea at first, as we could hold on to the bridge to keep the boat balanced, and also we were out the rain. However, we had not escaped the wind and the sudden fast-flowing rapid water, which was now turning into small waves. Storms can stir up very quickly in the monsoon season, and these cause big waves that cause a lot of destruction to the communities, destroying thousands, in some cases even millions of homes. Imagine now what it would do to a small wooden boat stranded out on the open water. I may as well take this opportunity to mention how dangerous bridges are in Bangladesh too, as a result of poor construction sometimes, and this is the last thing I need right now. Although feeling slightly nervous, I still feel confident enough to record what I am saying. However, had this been out at sea or on the ocean, I genuinely don't think I could cope with being on the waves on a small boat. In fact, in that situation, I'd probably start crying. The wind is blowing more and more fiercely by the second, the water lashing out on the side of the boat, causing it to bob up and down as well as side to side against the bridge. The only reason I wasn't too concerned here is because I knew that land was nearby, only 100-foot swim away at most. However, on the other hand, it's been a few years since I've swum, and I can't help wondering, would I actually still be able to swim? Is it like riding a bike? Once you learn, you never forget? Or would I just get in the water and drown? You may wonder, well, why don't I get in the water and find out? Well, the reason for that is because I don't really fancy the leeches. We decided it would be wise if we moved from under the bridge. This is with best interests of preventing damage to the boat from being beat against the bridge by the waves. Or even worse, the boat going under the water. Fortunately for us, the weather calms down within a few minutes and we take a more steadier ride back to the compound as we call it a day. Take a look at the huts that we pass on the way back and let me know if you would live in the last one.